If you are an international student about to move to Finland for your studies, there are a lot of things that you need to do before you relocate here. So in this video, I will go through the most important things that you have to do before you relocate to Finland for your studies. Alright, so the first thing you need to take care of is making sure that you have appropriate clothing for the season. So in Finland we experience strong seasons from cold winters to, well, really warm summers and basically everything in between, and you really need to have proper clothing for each. However, since you most likely are moving to Finland for the autumn semester, meaning either in late August or early September, don't worry, you do not have to buy any winter clothes before moving here. Winter in Finland doesn't really start before the end of October, so you don't have to panic about winter clothing beforehand. Rather, you will have plenty of time to take care of those during September and October. However, it is good to understand that the weather in September and October can be quite unstable. There's a lot of drizzle and the wind is really heavy, so that actually makes it really crappy. And the temperatures can shift quite heavily between a nice 20 degrees Celsius and sunshine during September to just a few degrees above freezing with cold rain in October. Also good to understand, nowadays we get snow to especially south of Finland at earliest in November or December, but in north of Finland, like in the city of Oulu, you get first snow much earlier, usually already in October. So if you come to Finland in August or September, prepare for any kind of weather from cold rain to warm sunshine. If, on the other hand, you are moving to Finland in January for the somewhat ironically named spring term, you're moving to Finland during mid-winter. In this case, you should really get some warm winter clothing before moving to Finland, as the temperatures can really easily drop below -20 degrees Celsius, even as south as Helsinki. During the winter of 2020, we didn't actually get any snow to the capital here in Finland, so to Helsinki. And 2021 basically said, hold my beer. And this is what we got in just 2 days. Again, you can buy the majority of your winter clothes after arriving to Finland, so don't stress about this too much. But still, I recommend that you should at least have a warm jacket, winter gloves, and a good pair of optimally waterproof shoes with you, just so that you manage, the first days before you go shopping. Alright, next up, there are a few free mobile apps that I really recommend that you download prior to traveling to Finland. First of them is the FMI Weather app, which is the official weather application provided by the Finnish Meteorological Institute, and it's also the most accurate weather app that you can find on App Store or Google Play. Most of the native weather apps that come pre-installed on iOS or Android are actually not that accurate, and I really recommend that you download the FMI app instead. The second free app is called the 112 Suomi, and it's provided by the Finnish Emergency Response Center Agency. It's basically a mobile app that allows you to call the Finnish emergency number, which by the way is 112, with just one click. So this is a really good app to have on your phone because in the case of an emergency, the app actually gives the Emergency Response Center your live location so that you don't have to, start looking for the street name or number, or in case you get lost in the woods while on a walk. The third app I recommend you to download is the Frank app, which you can use as your digital student card to utilize hundreds of student discounts and other benefits. If you don't know what student benefits are, I have a separate video about this topic that you can check out right here. Moving on, the next app I recommend you to download is called Suomi Passi, and it's a super simple language learning platform originally developed at the University of Turku. So the app contains a lot of useful Finnish words and phrases that you can use after arriving into the country, and it's actually a great app to go through, for example, during your flight to Finland. Alright, next up, at the time of your arrival to Finland, you will most likely not have a working internet subscription, and using a 4G network with your foreign subscription can be very expensive. This is why I recommend that you download the offline version of the Google Maps from the city that you're traveling to. This will help you navigate from the airport to your apartment during the day of your arrival, plus it will also help you find your way around the city without an internet connection until you get either a prepaid SIM card or a local mobile subscription. Talking of technology, the next thing is something pretty random but still really important to note, and that is that if you need a laptop for your studies, make sure to buy it before traveling to Finland. There's basically two main reasons for this. Number one being that electronics in Finland are very expensive, and you will most likely save a lot of money by purchasing a laptop in your home country. However, the second and also the more important reason is that laptops purchased in Finland come with a Finnish keyboard that uses the Finnish alphabet, which is useful basically only if you speak Finnish or Swedish. So yeah, you really want to get yourself a laptop from your own country. Still talking about electronics, the next thing I recommend you to do is to make sure that you have at least one adapter that fits the Finnish electric plugs so that you can charge your devices once you arrive into the country. In Finland, we use these continental European Type C electric plugs, which have two prongs in them. So the cool thing is, of course, that since most devices are nowadays charged with USB, you basically only need to replace your current plugs with the Finnish ones after you've arrived to the country. However, take into account that it will most likely take a few days until you get a chance to actually visit a store that sells these kinds of plugs. So I really recommend getting adapters for at least, your phone and your laptop so that you can charge them during those first few days. Next up, make sure that you have all the required documents that you need in order to migrate to Finland. These documents include a European health insurance card for EU citizens or a proof of health insurance for non-EU citizens, the letter of acceptance from your respective university, proof of financial means to support your studies, a few passport-sized photographs, and prescriptions to any medications that you might be on. In addition, I just want to remind everyone to check that your passport is valid throughout the time of your residence permit. So if your passport is about to expire, do make sure to get a new one so that you don't run into any unnecessary problems when trying to cross the border. Also, in addition to the necessary documents, I also recommend you to have some euros in cash, just in case you run into a situation where your foreign debit or credit card doesn't work. Naturally, if you come from outside the Eurozone, I recommend that you exchange some of your currency to euros prior to traveling to Finland, just in case you forget to do this at the Finnish airport once you have arrived. Also, as a small detail, make sure to check that you have approved the use of your payment card in Finland through your bank, because without this, your payment card will not be accepted by any payment terminals in Finland. Alright, so having done all of that, next up I recommend that you make sure you have a place to stay when you arrive to Finland, and you also know when and where to get the keys to your apartment. Also, if you for some reason have to stay a night or two in a hotel or in an Airbnb before receiving the keys to your apartment, make sure to reserve the room early enough, as hotels might be full at the time of your arrival. Also note that hotels and Airbnb rooms in Finland are pretty expensive, and I do not recommend staying in one for a long period of time. Also, for those of you who are renting an apartment unfurnished, I really recommend that you pack, for example, a sleeping pad and a sleeping bag, just in case you aren't able to get a bed or a mattress to your apartment during the first few days. Next, do take into account that in Finnish universities, each new student is assigned with a personal tutor who has been trained to help you with settling into the country as well as getting started with your studies. Each tutor is usually assigned with a group of students, so he or she might not be necessarily able to come and meet you, for example, at the airport, but it is still good practice to get in touch with them before traveling to Finland, because they will be able to help you with many common issues that you might encounter with traveling or, for example, during the early days of your stay in the country. For example, if you have any issues with the steps mentioned in this video, go ahead and contact your tutor for more details. Alright, so next up I recommend that you watch this video where I talk about all of the things that you have to do after you have arrived to Finland. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.